And welcome back, everyone, to I think we're actually technically on part 5 now, of Pokemon that I think need to be made. And we're on the bug type. Now, when it comes to the bug type, unlike the other 3 types where there were definitely concepts I was adamant need to exist, the bug type is one of those types that they have done and redone a lot with that typing. If I were to just get a list up here that I can see really quick of the bug type, just so I can reference how much we've done with the bug type and how many concepts we've already gone through. What have we done so far? We've done caterpillars to butterflies to moths multiple times, and I'm sure we'll still see multiple versions of those later down the road because there's so many different types of moths and butterflies, so forth and so on. Things like crabs get to kind of thrown into the equation too. Things like Paris and Parasect are technically more crab-based. We know Crustle and Dwebble are also crab-based. Mantises, we have Scyther, which is technically a mantis, but also we got Florantis and Lorantis. So they were stag beetles. Ladybugs we've done. We've done spiders on multiple occasions. We've done many different forms of beetles. We have done bees. We literally have bee drill, which is technically based off a Japanese giant hornet. But we literally have Vespiquen and Combee. Like, that is quintessential bee Pokemon. And even Ribombee is a bee Pokemon. We have cicadas with the Ninjask Nincada line. We've got prehistoric bugs with the Anorith line. Crickets, we've done Lokix and Cricketune, which is crickets and grasshoppers to a certain degree. We have now. I do stand by Skorupi is not a good scorpion. Skorupi is Drampon, not Drampon. I think it's Drampon, right? Anyway, it's evolution. I still don't stand that's a good scorpion Pokemon. No, we need something better. So we do need another scorpion Pokemon. But I already brought that up in the first video. Leavanny is again a combination of like leaf. I think it's actually supposed to kind of be a leaf cutter ant, kind of. But I'll get more into that in a little bit. We've got millipedes and centipedes now. Scolipede and Whirlipede are millipedes. We've got whatever the hell a Celigor is, and we got Escavalier also, obviously. We got anything else unique here? Stag beetles. We've got Wimpod and Glossopods. So isopods are now on the list. Buzzwole is a giant buff mosquito. Pheromosa is, I can't remember what Pheromosa is actually based off of, but it is a bug. It is based off something, obviously. Vespiquen again, moth. Cleavor is just a giant, another like a stone mantis. Again, Spidops. We now have a dung beetle in terms of Rellor and Rabsca. So they have done and run the gamut on a lot of different bugs, but I do still contend there are many other bugs we can look into for other Pokemon. First off, repainting any of the designs, those are guarantees. That's not what we're talking about. So right out the gate, though, I am amazed that we don't have a walking stick Pokemon. We're 9 generations in, and no walking stick. We have Mon that kind of look like a walking stick, sort of, just because like Spidos, for example, kind of has some walking stick design to it, but it's very clearly a spider, not a walking stick. Other than that, there's not many Mon here that really have that design. That design to them. In a walking stick, there's a lot of avenues you could go with. It could be that I've designed a concept before for a walking stick Pokemon for something I did long ago, and the idea is it is a normal bug type, but its ability means its normal typing would disappear depending on the location, because the idea would be wherever this walking stick went, it camouflages as a stick with the environment. So if it's in a forest area, it's going to be, a grass bug type. If it's in a snowy area, it'll be an ice bug type. If you're somehow in a very hot fire-based area, it would be a fire type. Now, the idea then would also have to be it would have to be able to learn the terrains. Because if it's able to learn the terrains, then it's able to basically have those types on call. Granted, there's grassy terrain, there's psychic terrain. There is no fire terrain or water terrain yet. Those are things later down the road they can obviously make. But the point would be that it does change its type based on maybe, or a different thing is the base one is normal, but depending on where you catch it, it has a different typing to it. So I think that probably actually works better because the in battle system is probably a little difficult to work with based on the concept I'm going with. But catching it in a certain location means that you can get a different type of it. So again, a walking stick Pokemon, I think we're very primed for a walking stick Pokemon. And locations that could have walking stick Pokemon that we definitely could see. India, a lot of people have been staunch defenders for an India-based region. I would like to think it's coming soon, but the implication seems to be, if we're going by any of the hints in Scarlet and Violet, that we're either getting something in the Netherlands based on the Starry Night Vincent van Gogh photo, or not photo, but painting, or possibly Australia based on the Uluru painting you saw in the art, in the what was it, the art classroom. Of course, to be fair, it could be none of those. But regardless, a walking stick Pokemon, I think we definitely need it. Also, kind of what I brought up with Leavanny being based somewhat off a leafcutter ant, kind of. Ants. The only straight out ant Pokemon we have is Durant. Think about that. Like, again, Leavanny does have, like, for example, Sewaddle and Swadloon are definitely not ants. They're definitely not ants. Leavanny, though, I can at least give some credit that it's kind of got, you could see an ant design in there. I think that's the best way to put it. But apart from that, all we have is Durant. There are so many types of ants out there that you can make into Pokemon. And along with this, and another one that's going to come up in a little bit, give them the Swarm ability. The Schooling ability, I should say. The Schooling ability, I think, is, first off, it's a great ability. It gives us new forms of Pokemon without overly filling up the Pokedex, which I think is really cool. And Wishiwashi, when it is in its school form, is a beast of a Pokemon. It's just once it gets weakened, then it's then you're kind of in trouble because Wishiwashi is weak otherwise. But ants make for a perfect representation of a Pokemon that could use the Schooling ability, as with another one coming up. But beyond that, the amount of different types of ants and what they do, and how they can form. Again, let's just go with like the kind of Leavanny inspiration here. A leafcutter ant. Now, granted, like I said, Leavanny is kind of a leaf ant design-ish, kind of. But leafcutter ants, or rather bullet ants, make another steel ant. But I mean, granted, that would just be a reprint of Durant. But still, bullet ants. Fire ants, so they make a fire bug type, or you could make an electric bug type again, because I believe they are known as crazy ants too for generating little bits of electricity. You have bulldog ants, you could figure out like a bug dog Pokemon of some kind with that. You have carpenter ants, you have just standard like black ants you have in my area. You have honeypot ants. That's been one that I've seen a lot of fans make ants Pokemon for, honeypot ants. That you can make a bug fairy type with that because it's literally storing like sweet honey. So there's a lot you could do with ants, and I'm just kind of surprised I've only got one legitimate ant Pokemon and one that you can kind of say it's got an ant-based design. So yeah. Then coming to us from Coyote Peterson for the image. Brave Wilderness, anyone? Who doesn't love Brave Wilderness? I'll just do that, so I'm not going to get in trouble. But wasps, stop and think about this for a second. We got Beedrill, which admittedly is based more off a Japanese giant hornet. That's been confirmed. That's more what the design is. But apart from Beedrill, despite the name saying one thing, the design says something else. Apart from Beedrill, while we do have several bee-based Pokemon here, I'm going through everything right now, and there are no Wasp or Hornet Pokemon outside of that. None. As much as I get on the case of there not being any ant Pokemon apart from Durant and maybe Luvani, there is nothing Hornet-wise or Wasp-wise at all except for Beedrill. Its name is Beedrill, so there's the argument that can be made it's not a bee. Or it's not a Wasp. So, holy crap, we are long overdue for another Hornet and Waspmon since Gen 1. Now, again, what could you do with this type of design? You could definitely do something like the Tarantula Hawk. In fact, because we definitely have, we certainly have other, we have other spider Pokemon out there. The Tarantula, particularly Galvantula, you could make a bug ground type, for example, that still has like flying or something like that, like levitate, that is a natural predator. It's the only weakness that electric has. By the by, if I ever do a video on what kind of new types should exist, I would think I'd have to design a type that is strong as electricity, because it's the only type in Pokemon that legitimately only has one weakness, and that's not balanced for the game. Granted, electric types are not overly hacks, but the fact that you only gave them one weakness is problematic. Because honestly, when you look at the typings, electric should, by all accounts, be weak to rock, too. I always used to think it was weak to rock. I also used to always think normal was weak to rock. Regardless. So right out the gate, going to the Tarantula Hawk route, absolutely. Going the, if you're going by Brave Wilderness real quick, the Executioner Wasp, maybe making, like, say, a Dark Bug type. Be mindful, too, that something with wings doesn't have to have the flying type to keep those wings. Flygon's a perfect example of that. So anything I say doesn't have to necessarily be a flying type just because it has wings. So yeah, but yeah, like an Executioner Wasp. Again, we could redo the Japanese Giant Hornet. We could do the Warrior Wasp, as we saw there, a bug fighting type. Now, Yellow Jackets. Granted, Beedrill's kind of got a Yellow Jacket design, but still, there are avenues we can go with a Wasp Hornet Pokemon. But what about one that I'm amazed it just has not been created yet? Termites. How have we not gotten termites? Like, granted, they are close to ants, but not ants, clearly. They are different. But how have we not gotten termites? This would be, this and ants are actually two species that you could have a really clear gender split. Like, the female is actually very clear. Like, the female looks just like a different Pokemon. You could have kind of like a Vespiquen kind of scenario here. But, yeah, I mean, like, termites, how have we not had that? This is another Pokemon that I think schooling could work well with, where maybe the queen is actually just a giant swarm of termites put together. Or the schooling ability just takes on, let's think words here. Takes on more like the hive. It's actually the mound, the nest. That is actually a Pokemon itself. And so, like, it could be, in fact, that could be a really interesting way of doing the Pokemon, is that it's actually has almost no speed. It's basically a giant defensive wall that can attack back and counter-strike. But if you beat it down, it just disperses, and you just get this single Pokemon. I mean, and then you could have it be, say, a ground or bug type again, because they use a lot of dirt and mud in their own poo and their saliva. But you could also do a grass type, because they oftentimes eat wood. They oftentimes eat wood. So there's avenues you could go with, absolutely. Last but not least, and I don't recall if I did this. I tried to look up an image for it. I don't believe I did this, and I think I had an idea to talk about the Bobbit Worm during the water type. The Bobbit Worm, kind of a real-life Pokemon. This thing is horrifying. I think they can be up to like a foot or 2 feet long, so they can get really big. They can swim, but oftentimes they just lie under the sand like a Graboid Sarlacc combo, and those jaws hurt. Like, they're not pleasant to be bit by. So, I mean, you literally have the perfect combination of a bug water type here. It could also be like a bug steel type with the jaws, a bug dark type. Honestly, I could even see a bug dragon type in a Bobbit worm. This could be your bug dragon right here. And remember, also in lore, a Pokemon doesn't have to be the typing it is to live in the environment that it's supposed to live in. Grapplock is an example, it lives in the water. Stunfisk is an example, it lives in the water. So despite being a ground type of all things, how does that work? The typing and environment doesn't have to match. So honestly, yeah, I would say Bug Dragon could work here. It's a monstrous looking creature, and that would work good for something that's a fierce Bug Dragon. Of course, knowing Game Freak, the first Bug Dragon they give us is probably not going to look cool at all. I mean, I like Flapple and Appleton, but I don't think it's quite what we were expecting with a Bug Dragon at first. Hydrapple, though, is awesome. Hydrapple is the truth, as they say, as the kids say. So regardless, I would say that I'd probably say Water Bug or Dragon Bug would work well for a Bobbit worm, because this thing looks like a Pokemon just needing to be animated, and given the Ken Sugimori artistic treatment. Regardless, that is my thoughts on Pokemon that need to be made the Bug type. Join us again next time, whenever that is, for I believe the Flying type and then the normal type. So join us again for those. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.